Okay, so a very good afternoon to one and all here. Let me first confirm if I'm audible or not. If somebody will please unmute and confirm. Am I audible to you, sir?
Yes, you are audible. Audible, sir. Abhijit, sir, you are audible. Audible to
Okay,
us.
thank you so much, sir. Yes. So, a very good afternoon to one and all present here for the post-lunch session of this short-term training program on biotechnology and its application in tribal agriculture areas, which is organized by Ballarpur Institute of Technology and sponsored by All India Council for Technical Education. In this session, we have Dr. Samir Deshmukh sir as our resource person, and we would like to take this opportunity to introduce sir. Dr. Samir Deshmukh sir is professor in Lakshminarayan Institute of Technology, which is popularly known as LIT Nagpur. Prior to this, he was professor and head of Department of Chemical Engineering in Priyadarshini Institute of Engineering and Technology. Before joining PIT, Dr. Samir Deshmukh sir was associate professor and head of Department of Chemical Engineering with Jawaharlal Darda Institute of Engineering and Technology, Yavatmal. He is also project coordinator for enhancing green economy in 3 countries in Asia. He is life member of the Indian Society for Technical Education, life member of Nagpur University Teachers Association, and annual member of journal Pradushan Nirmulan, Dream Earth publication, and also annual member of journal Environmental Pollution of Enviromedia. Technologies developed by him at pilot scale include direct contact membrane distillation for concentration of food juices and pharmaceutical products, multi-stage air gap membrane distillation for wastewater treatment, integrated reverse osmosis and membrane distillation for desalination, biodiesel plant and extraction of citronella oil. His expertise and leadership has enabled the sanction of funds for many projects like grant of rupees 60 lakhs for enhancing green economy in 3 Asian countries, co-funded by the Erasmus and the European Union. Being coordinator of MODROB AICTE, he has obtained sanction of rupees 17 lakhs for process control laboratory, rupees 10 lakhs for mass transfer laboratory in the session 2014-15, and again sanction of rupees 6,68,000 for mass transfer laboratory in the session 2012-2013. He has also received seminar grant from All India Council for Technical Education of rupees 1,15,000 in session 2013-2014 and seminar grant from MPCB of rupees 1 lakhs when he was convener in the session 2012-2013. He is reviewer for journals like Journal of Membrane Science, Science Journal Publication, Desalination and Water Treatment, DWT, Science Journal of Pure and Applied Chemistry, then Journal of Chemical Engineering and Material Science, African Journal of Food Science and Technology, Membrane Water Treatment, Technopress Company, and Asian Food Science Journal of International Research Journal of Pure and Applied Chemistry. He is a research consultant for Indian Biodiesel Corporation, Baramati, Pune, Mahindra and Mahindra Private Limited, Nagpur, and Rudra Farms of Nagpur. He has been honored quite frequently. He was listed in Marquis Who's Who biography in 2018, Franklin membership of London Journals Press UK. He is appreciated with a certificate from Journal of Membrane Science for highest scientific credit in the year. He has represented university, that is Nagpur University in Avishkar 2008 held at Mumbai. He is recipient of Best Teacher Award for session 2006, 2007 and 2009-2010. He has also won second prize in DIPEX 2004 for manufacturing of biodiesel. Well, I must say, Dr. Samir Deshmukh sir, it is a rare occasion that we have eminent personalities like you as our expert speakers, and we are really thankful to you for accepting our invitation. May I please request you to please start your session, sir?
Okay, thank you, Abhijit, sir, for such a generous introduction. I must thank the organizer for giving me this opportunity to discuss biotechnological developments and issues with such a learned audience. Thank you. I always constrain of giving lectures after lunch. As I have told you last time also, lecture after lunch is very big issue for the participants, not for the presenter, but it's very difficult.
Especially online
So
lectures, sir.
So anyhow, uh, so thank you for such a great opportunity to discuss this issue with such a learned audience. I will share my presentation, and then we will discuss on this issue. Hope the presentation is visible, right?
So right now it is not.
So please bear a couple of minutes. I hope it's. I have shared already, but there are some issues. I
Is
hope
it taking
it
some
will
time?
appear soon.
That's fine, sir. We can wait. Is it giving you some error message, sir, or is it just taking time?
No, it's taking time. It says that Chrome wants to share the content of your screen with google.com. 1 minute.
Okay, sir. All the attending members are requested to please stay connected. We are about to start the presentation. We are experiencing some technical difficulties, and I suppose that will be resolved in a minute or so, and then we will start. Until then, please stay connected.
Is the screen visible, sir?
No, sir, we are not. Still, it is not visible. Generally, even if the screen is not visible, sir, below it shows that you are presenting the screen. Here, it is not showing that anybody is presenting.
I'm trying to share, but I don't know what the issue is. I have share your entire screen. I said share, then It's
What is
doing
the
nothing
message?
thereafter.
What is the message that you are getting, sir?
Chrome want to share the content of your screen with Google Meet. Choose you. Would you like to share? So I did share,
Mm-hmm.
but then it was not clicking there. Shall I rejoin?
Yes, sir, that is absolutely fine. You can always disconnect and rejoin. Okay, as all of us can see, we are experiencing some technical difficulties while sharing the screen, and because of which our honorable resource person was not able to, address the session immediately. He will join back soon, and then once again we will try and share the screen and try and share the presentation, and then start with the session officially. Until then, you are all requested to be please patient and stay connected. Thank you so much. All the attending members are requested to please stay connected with us. Our honorable resource person has joined back, and we will try to share the screen once again and see if it works fine. Otherwise, we will come up with some other solutions. So please stay connected with us. Thank you. Sir, I think you are on mute, so we are not able to hear you. Sir, I think you are on mute. That is the reason. Is it not allowing you to unmute, sir? What is the issue? I don't know. I think you are not audible to us, sir, actually. So I can only see in the camera that you are speaking, but I cannot hear you. Am I audible to others? If somebody will please unmute and confirm whether I am audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you so much, Julie ma'am. Deshmukh sir, may I request you to please, if you can try once again disconnecting and joining back, because right now it is showing that you are on mute and we are not able to hear you. Okay. The attendees are requested to please stay connected and please be patient with us. We are experiencing some technical difficulty because of which our resource person is not able to present his screen or unmute himself as well. So that is the reason it is a humble request to all of you to please stay connected. Now we will try and resolve this issue in couple of minutes and then we will start soon. Until then, please stay connected with us.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Now you are audible.
Uh, I will try to share the screen.
Okay, sir.
I hope it will work now. I'm sharing it, but it's not working. I don't know what is the problem. Shall I send you this on mail?
Sure, sir. You can send me the PPT on my email, and I will present it from here, and then you can accordingly decide.
Right. Please tell me your mail ID. Hello. Hello, Abhijit sir.
Yes, sir. I will
Tell me
share
your mail ID.
the chat box I am sharing, sir.
Okay.
I am sharing the official ID of principal, sir. You can send it on it, and I will download it. You can also directly copy it from the chat box, sir.
Right.
Copy it and then paste it in the Gmail or wherever. The attending members are requested to please stay connected. We will start the presentation soon. Sir, once it is shared, you please let me know so that I will.
Yeah, right. I've done it, Mr. It was attached. It was getting attached. It's taking time. I don't know why.
Right.
But I will share you in 2 seconds.
If you can stop the video, sir, that will increase your internet speed. So maybe that will help.
That I will do.
All the attending members, thank you very much for your patience. Because of some technical issues, we are not able to, present the PPT, and that is the reason you are all requested to please stay connected with us. We are trying to come up with an alternate
Sir,
solution.
I have sent you the message.
Okay, sir. Okay. So you're all requested to please stay connected with us, and thank you for being patient. We're coming up with an alternate solution, and we will start presenting the screen soon. Until then, you are all requested to please stay tuned with us. Just a moment, sir. I'll try and share my screen now. Is the screen visible, sir?
Yeah. Thank you very much. So,
Just a moment, sir. Just
can I start? Yeah.
yes, sir. Please start with your presentation.
Um, Thank you all, and I'm very sorry for this technical glitch. I don't know why it's not sharing at my place. So thank you, Abhijit sir, for presentation. So good afternoon all, and we'd like to thank organizer for giving me opportunity to discuss these topics with such a learned audience. I can see so many learned people and teachers and researchers. So before going to the topic, let me revise agriculture history of our country, because since it's related to agriculture, so I just want to revise our history. Not very ancient, but at least agriculture practice before and after independence. We all know we are an agriculture based country. Our main occupation is agriculture. And we know what happens in Green Revolution. Punjab and Haryana becomes a breakfast bowl of our country. And today we are seeing this all farmers agitating for their rights, for whatever laws are mainly from Punjab and Haryana, because these are the area which makes us food sustainable. In Green Revolution, uh, started, and the use of chemical fertilizer and pesticide in our country started in this part only. And the purpose for using chemical fertilizer and pesticide is to meet our food requirements. But with time, we learned that exclusive or excessive use of this chemical fertilizer and pesticide is harmful to environment, health, soil, air, ecosystem, and so on. So the question in front of us is, what is the viable alternative? What we can do? So can we use biofertilizer, biopesticide? Can we do organic farming or combination of biofertilizer and chemical fertilizer? We need to work out. The people working in this field takes an extreme position. The people who are working with biofertilizer and biopesticide said that we can replace chemical fertilizer and chemical pesticide. We can replace it, but then that can reduce our productivity. But we want food sustainability. We want that much amount of food which is producing today should remain same. So we know biofertilizer and biopesticide till today was not that effective than like chemical and fertilizer and chemical pesticide. By by replacing chemical fertilizer pesticide with biofertilizer and biopesticide, it should not um, it should not take away our sustainability of food. We want to feed 1.3 billion people. Today we are the second largest producers of grain, second largest producers of fruits. We are top in production in milk. So we want this position to be should be solid. We don't want this position to lose by using biofertilizer and biopesticide. So we need to think judiciously. We can't talk of extreme. So we need high yield food security. We want sustainable growth, but we also want to care about environment. Environment should not be harmed. We don't want to harm our environment. So by long run use of chemical fertilizer and pesticide, we harm our environment. And first, why we use fertilizer? Because is it necessary to use fertilizer in agriculture? Yes, it is, because constant use of land lead to loss of its fertility, and thus fertility needs to be replenished. So the deficiency of any one or more nutrients in the soil may important for the growth and development of plants. So microelements like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are required in large quantities. So these are referred as NPK, that we all know, NPK. So chemical fertilizer like nitrogen and phosphorus are applied to land so that it can regain its fertility. So that's why these are used. But wrong used, we have degraded our land, we have polluted our soil, we have polluted our water, and as well as air. So what are the alternatives? And we know, going to our history, agriculture sector plays an important role to improve the economic growth of developing countries like ours. Apart from fulfilling the food security of the growing population globally, we are about 1 billion people, 1.3 billion people. So earlier it was lack of access to adequate food and nutrition were in our country, but after green revolution we are food sustainable. The expected agriculture production has to be doubled so as to cater the needs of more and more people, because our population is growing. So in this juncture, agriculture production is facing increasing challenges like water scarcity, climate change, and volatility, raising the risk production shortfalls. Since agriculture has potential for food security, environmental sustainability, and economical opportunity worldwide, the future vision of world is to adopt new strategies to increase agriculture production sustainability. So we want food, but we don't want to harm our environment, because we want sustainable development. We want development for our coming generations. We can't be greedy and destroyed our ecosystems, our lands, our waters, and our air, and then our coming generations will have to live in such a bad environment. So that we don't want. So we want development, but we want to care for environment. We want sustainable development, the development which can be reached to our coming generations. So we are not a greedy generation uh, to degrade the ecosystem. We want food, but we want the land, soil, and air should not get degraded. The green revolution, technology adoption between 1960 to 2000 has increased wide variety of agriculture crop yield per hectare, which increased 12 to 13% of food supply in countries like ours. Southeast Asia and India were the first developing countries to show the impact of green revolution on variety of rice yields and grains and vegetables. Similar yield trends were observed for wheat and maize. So world agriculture has progressed dramatically since early 1970, and green revolution in our country started in 1965. As a result of research and development, some new policies have developed. High varieties and hybrids along with intensive inputs, particularly the chemical fertilizer, pesticide and water have resulted in such a phenomenal growth. So one time in British time we are lack of food, and now we have a sustainable food. We have food to feed 1.3 billion. In 1947, when we are independent, our population is 35 crore. But that time we lack food, and green revolution has made us food secure. So that time we use chemical fertilizer, chemical pesticides, large amount of water we used. We have created dams. So in long term, now we are feeling that it has the harmful effects, adverse effects of this chemical pesticide and chemical fertilizer. It has been reported on both the abiotic and biotic component of the environment. The former are exemplified by residues in soil, air, water, food, etc. And later by phytotoxicity, residues, vegetation changes, etc. in plants and psychological deformities, diseases, mortality, population changes, genetic disorder, etc. So there are several ill effects because of this excess use of fertilizer and pesticide. So indiscriminate use of fertilizer, particularly the nitrogenous, has led to substantial pollution of soil and air and water. Fertilizer contamination of groundwater has led to eutrophication of lake and river waters, causing depletion of oxygen and even death of aquatic life. Nitrate pollution increase emission of gaseous nitrogen and metal toxicities in air. The presence of nitrates in potable water has been blamed for health hazards such as birth defects, impaired nervous system, cancer, and so on. So next slide, please. So there are several ill effects, and we can talk of history for hours, because all the problems and the solutions are in the history. As we know, the history of agriculture in India dates back to Indus Valley civilization, and now India ranks second worldwide in farms output in many produce, like for fruits and grains and all. Agriculture employed more than 55% of Indian workforce and contribute to 17 to 18% of country GDP. According to latest report, agriculture is primary sources of livelihood for 58% of India, of our population. So green revolution in India, as we have discussed, started in 1965. It was founded by M.S. Swaminathan. In British era, the biggest famine of 1943 was one of the most severe famines that killed over 3 million people. People die because of lack of food. 3 million people died because of lack of food in our country. There was no help from the industrial sector. The agriculture sector in British rule is disaster for the people of our country. But after independence in 1947, India realized that there was need to become self-sufficient. This ushered in Indian Green Revolution. Green Revolution first started in 1965. It began with the decision to adopt superior yield using disease-resistant wheat varieties in combination with better farming knowledge to improve productivity. The Green Revolution first in India marked a period of time when agriculture practices shifted from traditional practices to more technical methods And now we are talking again of a traditional method. But we have shifted from the traditional method to technological methods, to use of chemical fertilizer, pesticide in Green Revolution 1. But that too have some advantage. Technical approaches has given rise to input intensive, but it was not sustainable, and unsustainable agriculture practices that ultimately reduce our water table, causing erosion and lose in biodiversity. The Green Revolution focused on the introduction and growth of high yield varieties. This shift in agriculture technology has caused and continues to cause irreversible change, including deterioration in soil health and nutrients. These practices make it difficult to shift back to organic farming on the same land. So now we are facing difficulties in again shifting back to organic farming or using biofertilizer or biopesticide, because we don't want to uh, lose our position of largest producer of grains, and we have to feed 1.3 billion people. So we are not, we don't want to reduce our productivity. We want same productivity with using environmental friendly fertilizer and pesticides. So we again want to shift back to the conventional method. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult because the population has tripled. The agriculture production need to be increased 4 times, and with traditional methods, we are finding it some difficulties. In the years since independence, India has made immense progress towards food security. Like I have told you, India population has tripled, and the food grain population was increased by 4 times. Before the mid 1960s, India relied on import and food aid to meet domestic requirements. We import grains from US and other countries to feed our people, and now we are food sufficient. But at the same time, we have harmed our nature in a long way. Our water table is down. We are water scarce country now. We've degraded our land. We degraded our air, and so on. So that's why we are talking of biofertilizer and biopesticide for sustainable agriculture, because enough is enough. We can't degrade, we can't damage our environment, we can't be greedy. So we have to balance. We need a sustainable development. We want food, but we want to protect our environment also. We want our land, our water, our air to be good for our coming generation also. So we want food and environment. So we talk about food production, right? So food quality or meal quality is qualitative characteristics of food that is acceptable to consumer. So, so food safety is very important. We can't have people dying because of food. We want a nutritional quality. Second, we talk about food and its quality. Quality is also important. We want all nutrition, vitamins and proteins we should get from food. So we talk about food fortification or enrichment in the process of adding micronutrients to food. Like food fortification, because if we have rice, so we want to add iron in it, so we have to fortify it so that someone consume rice, so it should be fortified so that naturally it can't grow. Even natural fortification is also a new technique nowadays, but even then we can additionally also fortify the food. So main method of food fortification, commercial and industrial fortification, is like in wheat flour or corn meal, cooking oil. So biofortification can also be done by breeding crop and to increasing their nutritional value. which include both conventional selective breeding and genetic fortification to harvest management. So we talk about food packaging and marketing. Like nowadays, packaging has improved our shelf life of food. So earlier, like in milk, we can store for hardly day or two, but due to increasing packaging technology, we can increase the shelf life up to 6 months for milk. Similarly, the development in packaging has increased shelf life of several products. You might have heard that several food grains and foods are degraded because it was not stored properly. But nowadays, like silos and food packaging materials has increased the shelf life of food. Packaging also play a good role. Earlier, 20-30% of fruits and vegetables are wasted due to degradation. Large amount of grains are destroyed because of improper storage and packing. So this can be reduced by developing the technologies in food packaging and also in transporting the food. So now we want food, but we have to care of environment also. Earlier we rarely talk about food environment, which determines all the above. So next slide, please. So if you see this graph, it shows that use of fertilizer with production of food. And the amount of nitrogenous fertilizer used with years. It shows that the fertilizer goes on increasing with year. And if you see the upper graph on the right hand side properly, that in some period the production increases with increased use of fertilizer, but after 1997, 98, it has been observed that after that increase in use of fertilizer does not increase the amount of food production. So next slide, please. So if you see this graph, and the last part of the graph from 2000, the use of fertilizer is somewhat get constant. So next slide. And this graph shows of nitrogen use efficiency in different crop at various locations. So nitrogen is as we know that nitrogen is the main constituents in fertilizer. And then nitrogen use efficiency is also important. Like if you see the first part, that plant rice in our country, the nitrogen use efficiency is only 28 to 34%. Means the absorption capacity of that fertilizer nitrogen is only 28 to 34%. So in spite of using more fertilizer, if we can increase this percent nitrogen use efficiency, with same amount of fertilizer, we can produce more crop. Like rice in Pakistan, their percent of nitrogen use efficiency is 49%, much more than us. So they have to use less fertilizer than what we have to use. And it depends on the soil and soil quality and soil nutrient content. So that can be improved. If we can improve that efficiency, the absorption capacity of nitrogen in that soil, in the same amount, we can produce more. So wheat in India is that the percent nitrogen use efficiency is more than in Pakistan. But in rice, it was exactly opposite. So this talk of nitrogen use efficiency. So, and why we are showing this gap? This shows that so depends upon the soil quality. We should go for that product, that farm product. So like rice in India, if the soil does not permit or its nitrogen use efficiency is less, in spite of going for rice, we should go for wheat because we can produce it more and the nitrogen use efficiency is better for wheat. That's why the new laws talk of uh, dumping some crop and going for some other useful crop so that we can stop producing water guzzling crops, the crops which required more fertilizer, and replace it by crop which will require less water, less fertilizer. Next slide, please, sir. So why we are thinking of biopesticide and biofertilizer? Because environmental and health related issues of synthetic fertilizer. One of the problems with chemical fertilizer is they seep through the soil into the groundwater and other water sources, leading to contamination. So if you dug water in any part of the country and if you check the pesticide level, you will find large amount of or dangerous level of pesticide contained in our water. This is due to the 60, 70 years after green revolution, the excess use of chemical fertilizer and pesticide. Now NPK is small quantity. If you use NPK in small quantities, it's non-toxic. But a lot, if you use it in lot quantity, it can kill the balance of nature in various way. Nitrogen is especially tricky. Some of these impacts include algae blooms causing the depletion of oxygen in surface water, pathogens and nitrates in drinking water, and the emission of ador and ador gases into air. Nutrient from manure and fertilizer enter lakes and streams through runoff and soil erosion. These algae blooms, its algae forms in groundwater absorb most of the oxygen, and there will be lack of oxygen in water. So your aquatic life inside the water can't live because of lack of oxygen. So oxygen will get transferred from atmosphere to that water, but most of them will be consumed by this algae in the water. And because of this runoff water from agriculture field to water sources cause algae blooms, which consume most of your water. Some of the harm of chemical fertilizer may cause include waterway pollution, chemical burning to the crops cause air pollution, acidification of soil, and mineral depletion of the soil. So it has several harm of this chemical fertilizer. It not only harm your soil, it harms your air, it harm your water bodies. So it's not only about adding fertilizer in the land and making it infertile. It also pollute your air as well as your water bodies. So groundwater contamination, nitrate leaching from soil goes into the runoff water into groundwater. Eutrophication, erosion, surface runoff, and seepage of N from agriculture fields. That's what we are discussing. Acid rain and ammonia redeposition because of ammonia volatilization. So if you see this in first example, like in Lucknow in India, groundwater contamination is very large because of this fertilizer. If you observe this table, you will see the level of NO2, the level of NOx in groundwater, and it was increasing day by day. Next slide, please. So gaseous, this shows that the which crop, this is from literature I have taken, it shows that wheat and maize, nitrous oxide is emitted in air. So NOx goes in air. So wheat, nitrous oxide, corn and soybean. So these are the air pollutant in the second table, and the first table talks of the agriculture produce, the crop. So this I have taken from references. This shows that these crops not only degrade our land, also degrade our, this we are talking of air pollution, emissions. Next slide, please. This is water pollution, leaching and emission losses of nitrogen from agriculture field under wheat production and application of commercial fertilizer. So if you see this table and go through this table, you will understand. So how much amount of fertilizer will leach out the emissions and so responsive of it to the application of different organic and biofertilizers. So the tables are self-explanatory. If you read it, you will understand. So I will not waste time by reading it. So some facts about Indian agriculture. We know that we already discussed the history. It was total geographical area is 328 million hectares. Now some people say we can increase this area, but we can increase it at the cost of cutting jungles and disturbing our ecosystem. So we want jungles, we want our arid and non-arid land. So we can't go for more area, which will disturb our ecosystem. So in this given agriculture area, without disturbing our ecosystem, we have to feed 1.3 billion people. So net area sown is 142 million hectares. Gross cropped area is given. One of the 12 biodiversity center in the world with over 46,000 species of plants and 86,000 of species of animal recorded. This biodiversity we don't want to lose to increase our agriculture area. As I have already told, we are largest producer in the world for pulses, tea and milk. Second largest producer of fruit, vegetable, wheat, rice, groundnut and sugarcane. And it is all because of green revolution. This is all because of chemical fertilizer and chemical pesticide. This is all because of various dams we have developed, built, Satluj and all big dams we have produced, and we have achieved this. But in long term, we have damaged our environment a lot. Now we need to look for an alternative. Next slide, please, sir. So what is an alternative? So biofertilizer, can we go for biofertilizer? It will be the same effective as chemical fertilizer? Can to save environment we can compromise our productivity? We need to take this question. So what are the options? So can biofertilizer, their characteristics will be similar to our chemical fertilizers? Can it will give the same productivity? We have to understand the prospects. We have to understand the difficulties of biofertilizer. So we have to see a low cost, suitable and efficient biofertilizer for your organic farming. If we have gone to the decision to replace chemical fertilizer to biofertilizer, we need to look for a fertilizer which will be of low cost, which will be suitable for particular crop and efficient. Next slide, please. So before starting biofertilizer and biopesticide, I have talked of brief about Indian agriculture and all. So So generally agriculture lands get, just to revise it, generally agriculture land gets improvised after long-term cultivation. So we want to replenish our land. Long-term use degrade our land, it makes us infertile. We need to be replaced. There are deficiency of any one or more nutrients in the soil. So we have to add, and we have to add, we know we have to add micro elements like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash in large quantities. And these are going to replenish our land. The supplement of soil nutrient content under conventional farming system, we need to apply high dose of agrochemical, which is then pollute the ecosystem. You know, by adding this, we are going to pollute our ecosystem. Therefore, in order to make agriculture sustainable, it is necessary to implement the balance and a responsible use of organic agriculture. So again, we have to go for back to our traditional method, what we are doing before 1965, before Green Revolution first. But the problem is at that time we have population of 35 crores and now we have population of 1.3 billion. So can organic farming will able to feed 4 times of population at that time? That we need to answer. The principle of organic farming also outlines the similar concepts where the soil health and biodiversity is built up to sustain the plant growth in longer term. Next slide, please.
Hello.
Hello, Abhijit. There is some issue, I think.
Yeah, I suppose that he's not audible to us, right?
Yeah, screen is also not showing.
No, screen is being presented by me, so I stopped presenting the screen because we could not hear him.
Yeah, there is some issue with connectivity.
Okay. Just a moment. All the attendees, you are requested to please stay connected. I will check with the resource person and get back to you. Please stay connected. All the attending members are requested to please stay connected with us. I suppose there is some connectivity issue because of which we have lost connection with our honorable resource person. We will try and reconnect with him soon. Until then, you are all requested to please stay connected. Thank you. Your honorable resource person is about to join us back. There seems to be some connectivity issue. Uh, and you are all requested to please stay connected with us until then. Extremely sorry for the inconvenience that is being caused here, and thank you very much for your patience. We really appreciate your patience. However, this is something which is unavoidable on our part too. Most of the resource persons are connecting to us from their colleges, and our honorable resource person for today's session, Dr. Samir Deshmukh sir, has also connected from us from the college, I suppose. And we hope that he will be able to join us back soon. Just now we were able to establish contact, and he mentioned that he is about to join us back. So please stay tuned with us until then.
Hello, I'm audible.
Yes,
Sorry,
sir. Now you're on.
I don't know. I lose my internet connection.
Ah, that's okay, sir. I will present the screen once again. Just a moment. Is the screen visible, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Yeah, please continue, sir.
Yeah. So, this is role of fertilizer we already have discussed. Therefore, there has been positive correlation between use of fertilizer and crop yield. The crop yield is falling and not in proportion to fertilizer consumption. If you are with me and we have seen the graph that in after 96, 97, the increase in fertilizer use does not increase its productivity. And in different countries, if you check the comparison of different countries, the use of fertilizer and the crop yield is different. So that this is because of soil quality, nutritional quality, nitrogen use deficiency, what we have talked earlier. Like China, if you see the fertilizer use per hectare in China and India, they use twice to thrice amount of fertilizer than us. But at the same time, their crop yield is 2 to 3 times more than us. So due to high level of consumption, productivity is on rise in Egypt, China, and Sri Lanka. Next slide, please. The cause of declining crop productivity. So imbalance and indiscriminate use of chemical fertilizer. We have used a large amount of fertilizer, though many countries use more fertilizer than us, but that productivity is also more. But we have also used a large amount of NPK, because I have told you that low amount of NPK will not be very harmful. But if you use it in large amount, then it will be very toxic. So occurrence of multi-nutrient deficiency. So it's not only about, when we talk of fertilizer, it's not only about NPK, though NPK is the main content, but we also required zinc, boron, sulfur, etc. In our country, mainly we are rain dependent agriculture. About 2/3 area is rain dependent. Inadequate irrigation facility, like in Punjab, it was called as breakfast bowl of our country because the irrigation is 90%. In other part, the irrigation is not much. So continuous fragmentation of land, unfavorable for adoption of technology, and so on. So next slide, please. So major causes of nutrient deficiency in soil. Why we need fertilizer? Because it causes deficiency in soil. We have already talked. Besides NPK, sulfur, zinc, and calcium are also required in good quality. Other nutrients such as iron, boron, etc. to be required in small quantities, but their deficiency significantly impact plant growth and life. So micronutrient deficiency like zinc, boron. So innumerable experiments prove that there are significant increase in yield by application of secondary and micronutrients along with NPK. Now these are required, water and this fertilizer. Now either you add it from chemical fertilizer or from biofertilizer, but this is what required for a proper growth for nutrients. Next slide, please. So what we need to do? We have to use of balanced fertilizer. Use of balanced fertilizer in combination with chemical fertilizer. Use organic fertilizer, biofertilizer. So it can provide a viable leverage to increase crop productivity. We can replace chemical fertilizer directly with organic or biofertilizer, or we will lose our productivity. So to maintain, we need to learn the combination. We have to do some combination. So and it will help. It will enrich the soil with important nutrients. Biofertilizer has potential to generate additional income to farmers of a medium size of land. So types of biofertilizer: Rhizobium, Azotobacter, and so on. Next slide, please. So, so what is what is biofertilizer basically? So a biofertilizer is a substance which contains living microorganisms, which, when applied to seeds, plant surfaces, or soil, colonize the rhizosphere of the interior of the plant and promote growth by increasing the supply or availability of the primary nutrient to host plant. Biofertilizer add nutrients to the natural process of nitrogen fixation, solubilizing phosphorus, and stimulating plant growth through the synthesis of growth promotion substance. The microorganism in biofertilizer restore the soil natural nutrient cycle and build soil organic matter. Through the use of biofertilizer, healthy plants can be grown while enhancing the sustainability and the health of soil. Biofertilizer can be expected to reduce the use of synthetic fertilizer and pesticides. So biofertilizer basically provides eco-friendly organic agro input. It was not as harmful as chemical fertilizers. Though we are talking it of short term, because after 60, 70 years, we know the ill effect of chemical fertilizer and chemical pesticide. Now we can say that because long term, after 40, 50 years, we don't know, but today we can say that biofertilizer provides eco-friendly agro input. So biofertilizers such as Rhizobium, Azotobacter, Azospirillum, and blue-green algae have been in use for a long time. This we are using, some people are using it, but not in full capacity. It was used in a very small part in various parts of the country. Rhizobium inculant is used for leguminous crops. Azotobacter can be used with crops like wheat, maize, mustard, cotton, potato, and other vegetable crops. Azospirillum inculations are recommended mainly for sorghum, millets, maize, sugarcane, and wheat. Blue algae belongs to general Cyanobacteria genus. So in short, we can define biofertilizer are substance that contains microorganisms which when added to soil increase its fertility and promotes plant growth. So biofertilizer are substance that contains microbes which helps in promoting the growth of plants and trees by increasing the supply of essential nutrients to the plant. It comprises live organisms, which includes, we have discussed it, like all the microorganisms. Nitrogen fixation is defined as process of converting the dinitrogen molecule into nitrogen compound. For instance, some bacteria converts insoluble form of soil phosphorus into soluble form. Types of fertilizer, biofertilizer are symbiotic, like nitrogen fixing bacteria. So symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria seek shelter and often food for plants. In return, they help providing fixed nitrogen to plants. So next slide, please. So rhizobium, it was introduced in laboratory with the name nitrogen in 1895. The organism can be isolated from soil or root nodule after sterilizing the root nodule by mercury chloride or sodium hydrochloride solution or 90% ethanol. So it was colonized or white translucent elevated with entire margin as shown in diagram. Next slide, please. So this can be isolated, identify and native strain. Screening of best isolated and developing mother culture or started culture in YEM growth. Cultivation on large scale using industrial media at pH of 6.5 to 7. 5% in column in 4 to 7 days. Measuring cell counts. Mixing the culture with carriers. Then packaging and storage in condition of 4 to 15 degrees centigrade. And transportation and application. Next slide, please.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. I think there is some movement in the mic because of which we can hear the disturbance. The mic can be settled. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mic is stable, then there won't be any disturbance, I guess. Even now, we can hear the disturbance. Yeah, now it has settled. Just a moment.
So Azotobacter is second important. It fixes 20-40 kilogram. Also produce, and it was recommended for rice, wheat, cotton, etc. So next slide, please. So, so its characteristics. It was gram negative, rod shaped, aerobic, vertically flagellated, grown well at 25-30 degrees centigrade. High humidity is needed, aeration is needed under pH 7.2 to 7.6, high salt concentration. So isolation can be done from solely using N-free media like FEB's mannitol media or Jensen media. Colonies are flat, soft, milky, and mucoid. Step involved in large-scale production and applications are same as rhizobium. Next slide, please. So Azospirillum, it was founded in 1925 by Benjamin isolated nitrogen fixing bacteria from roots of grass in Brazil and name it as Spirillum hypoferum. In 1978, Tarrant renamed Spirillum as Azospirillum. It is an associative symbiote colonized on root and sometimes infect cortex without developing any apparent structure on roots. Success required 20 to 40 kilogram per hectare per annum. Next slide, please. So these are different types of bacteria. I will not discuss it in details. Next slide, please, sir. So this was phosphate solubilizing bacteria. So earlier was nitrogen, now it was phosphate solubilizing bacteria. Phosphorus is second vital nutrient for after nitrogen for the growth of plant. Available in soil is in insoluble form, generally supplied in the form of superphosphate. Many organisms in the soil solubilized phosphate, example Pseudomonas, Bacillus, Micrococcus, Flavobacterium, and so on. To produce organic acid like lactic, succinic, propionic, formic acid, etc. Consequently, bound form of phosphate solubilize and charged molecules of phosphorus are absorbed by plants. Next slide. And this is role of blue-green algae, one of the important microorganisms used in paddy field. In water lodging condition, cyanobacteria multiply, fix nitrogen and release it in the form of amino acids, proteins and other growth promoting substance. Cyanobacteria can be isolated on fog medium by adding soil from paddy field. After proper agitation, glass is incubated at RT under the influence of 12 hours of light and dark regime. Further isolation and purification is made using solid medium. So cyanobacteria is equivalent to mass cultivation. For mass cultivation, pure culture of BGA is used in Inokula. So method for mass cultivation involves cement tank method, shallow metal trough method, polythene line feed method, and field method. BGA after growth can be dried, powdered, kept in sealed polythene bags, and supplied to the farmer. And cyanobacterial inoculants can be stored for more than 3 years without any loss in viability. So this is another microorganism. Azula is an aquatic heteroporous form which contains an endophytic cyanobacterium. Next slide. Next slide. So the our focus is what are the different types of biofertilizers and what are the microorganisms used and what is the importance of biofertilizer. So biofertilizer is important for the following reason. There are some important reasons like biofertilizer improves soil texture and yield of plant, and that is what the fertilizer should do. That is what chemical fertilizer do. But while doing this, biofertilizer does not harm your environment. They do not allow pathogens to flourish. Whereas in chemical fertilizer, algae blooming, pathogen development is very large, and that will reduce your oxygen content in aquatic life, harm your aquatic life. But biofertilizer, they do not allow pathogens to flourish. They are eco-friendly and cost-effective. Biofertilizer protect the environment from pollutants since they are natural fertilizers. They use contents of very from the soil most of the time. They, dis- they destroy many harmful substances present in the soil. They can cause plant diseases. So biofertilizers are provided to be effective even under semi-arid conditions. So the presentation we focus mainly on fertilizer consumption and food grain production scenario in India. What we want is we have to use fertilizer in judicious amount. We want to produce food grain sufficient in amount in so as to feed our 1.3 billion population without harming our environment. We don't want to decline crop productivity, but we want sustainable development, sustainability of farming. So use of balanced fertilizer and biofertilizer, we can achieve this. Next slide, please. So we have already discussed a lot about what is biofertilizer. I don't want to be repetitive. So for nitrogen, just want to go through this, a simple form of classification of biofertilizer. Like for nitrogen, it was rhizium, azotobacter, acetobacter, blue green algae, the phosphorus, for potash, for enriched compost. Next slide, please. So nitrogen fixing biofertilizer nitrogen fixing work under two conditions: symbiotic and as free living bacteria. The symbiotic bacteria make an association with crop plants, forming nodules in their roots. So this is what we are talking of application of biofertilizer. The free living bacteria not form any association but live freely and fix atmosphere nitrogen. Seedling root deep. This method is how we are applying the biofertilizer. This method is applicable to rice crops. The seeds are planted in the bed of water for 8 to 10 hours. The seeds are dipped in the mixture of nitrogen and phosphorus fertilizer. These seeds are then dried and sown as soon as possible. The biofertilizer along with compost fertilizer are mixed and kept for one night. This mixture is then spread on the soil. Next slide. So this is all about rhizobium we already discussed, but this few classification and method of method of application of particular bacteria. So we can skip couple of slides. Yep. Brood green algae. This is another important class of biofertilizer we have discussed. But what is important? So last slide, please. This is the blue green algae are small organism and can be seen under the microscope as a single cell. What is important is they have similar appearance to that of algae and azolla growing in the pond. So we have to properly develop this, and that required light, nutrients, and carbon dioxide are also similar. Next slide. Next slide. We can skip couple of slides, sir. Azotobacter we have already. 1 minute. So what is need of using this? So need is biofertilizer are required to restore the fertility of soil. That we have for fertilizer that is its application. Biofertilizer, the advantage over or chemical fertilizer is it enhances the water holding capacity of the soil and add essential nutrients such as nitrogen, vitamins, and proteins to the soil. The natural form of fertilizer and hence widely used in agriculture. Next slide, please. So we will go for pesticides first.
Hello, sir. Hello. Am I
Hello?
audible? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Vijit, you're audible.
Okay. I think we have lost connection again. I'll
Again,
check.
that is,
Just a
yeah.
moment. Okay, attending members are requested to please stay tuned with us. We are trying to establish connection with our honorable resource person. Please stay connected with us. All the attending members are requested to please stay connected with us. Today, all of a sudden, uh, we are experiencing some difficulties. Our resource person is actually experiencing some technical difficulties because of which he is not able to connect with us. You are all therefore requested to please stay tuned with us. We will resolve this issue in a minute. Please stay tuned. The attending members are.
Don't know that this was some network issue here.
Yes, yes, sir. That's absolutely understood. Should I continue presenting the screen, sir?
No, but in spite of, I think I finished most of my. If somebody have question, we can discuss. In spite of
So
presentation, we can
we'll
discuss. If
take it.
somebody have some questions, we can
It's
discuss.
okay, sir. We can take it till the end. That is fine.
So start the presentation. Then.
If you want, I can present the screen, sir. That is not an issue. Hello.
Hello.
Am I audible to you?
You can start presentation, sir.
Sir, I think we were. Which slide you guide me for that?
Next slide. Next. So, okay, sir. It's okay. So there are many advantages of using biofertilizers. They form an important association with other soil microbes and help in nutrient supply. Fixes atmospheric nitrogen, increase availability or uptake of nutrients through solubilization and increase absorption. Stimulate plant growth through hormonal or antibiotics actions or by decomposing organic waste. They are cheap, hence reduce cost of cultivation, improve soil properties, and sustain soil fertility due to soil enrichment. Are compatible with long-term sustainability. That is most important why we want to replace it or some part we want to replace with chemical fertilizer. Build up soil fertility in long term. So we want to build up soil fertility in long term so that if the fertility was proper, we don't even have to use the fertilizer. They are eco-friendly and pose no damage to environment. But this was short-term study because it takes 60, 70 years to know that chemical fertilizer and chemical pesticide are environmental harm. So for short term, we can say that, and we feel that in short term it will be eco-friendly. Next slide. So of course, if there was some advantage, there are disadvantage also. As such, there is no harmful effect, but this in short term we are telling it. But also, if we see our history before green revolution, organic farming has very less impact on environment. So specific to the plants like rhizobium culture doesn't work well in high nitrate tolerance strains of soybean. The acceptability of biofertilizer has been rather low, chiefly because they do not produce quick and spectacular response like chemical fertilizer and pesticides. So required skill in production and application. And it was also difficult to store because the condition to store to 12 degree at that condition in our country is difficult to store that. Next slide, please. So if you see this graph, again, is use of fertilizer versus crop production. So in 96, 97, strong correlation is found between fertilizer consumption and food grain production till 97, 98. But after 97, 98, the increase in use of fertilizer does not shows that steep increase in production of food grains. That's an issue. Next slide, please. So what is the cause of decline in crop productivity? So that was imbalance and indiscriminate use of chemical fertilizer. Occurrence of multi-nutrient deficiency such as zinc, boron, sulfur, etc. Next slide, sir. I think we have covered this slide. Next slide. Next slide, please. So these are some photographs of crop nursery for sugarcane, sets of tissue culture plants. Next slide, sir. So this was sugarcane with application of biofertilizer and biopesticides. Comparison with chemicals and controlled conditions. Next slide. Next slide, please. So next slide, sir. I will come to pesticides. Next slide, sir. Um, last slide. Some commercial biofertilizer in Indian market. Next slide. The potential for biopesticides. So like chemical fertilizer, chemical pesticides are more dangerous, more harmful. So about 80,000 tons of pesticide are used in agriculture in India annually. Though you will be surprised that we are the least use of pesticide per hectare of land, but still it has harm our water bodies like anything. So the intensive use of pesticide in agriculture is cause of serious concern. The problem is especially seriously because of the development of resistance to pesticide in important pests and the presence of pesticide residues in agriculture and dairy products. Many Western countries don't use our dairy products because like our milk, our butter, our paneer because of the pesticide contained in milk. So growing pesticide resistance has meant that a large proportion of agriculture production is lost due to pests. It is therefore important that the alternative environmentally friendly methods of plant protections are adopted, such as integrated pest management techniques, including the use of biopesticides. Next slide. So advantage of using biopesticide and biocontrol agents. So biopesticides are derived from animals, plants, and microorganisms such as bacteria and viruses. They are inherently less harmful than chemical pesticides. Like the most important or the famous example is neem. Neem is a very important biopesticide. It is not harmful to environment. They are more target specific than chemical pesticides, affecting only the target pest. And they are closely related. In contrast, chemical pesticides often destroy friendly insects because some insects are very essential to our land. That insects increase your fertility. They are often effective in small quantities. Also, they decompose quickly and do not leave problematic residues. So they are biodegradable, they decompose fastly, and they don't leave toxic residues in the land. Next slide, please. So some important biopesticide and biocontrol agents. The Bioculus thuringiensis, BT cotton and BT you might have heard, very buzzword, is the most commonly used biopesticide globally. It is primarily a pathogen of Lepidopteris pests, which are some of the most damaging. And ingested by pest larvae, it is released toxin which damage the mid gut of the pest, eventually killing it. BT-based pesticides are being marketed by 3 companies in India, and it was increasing day by day. Next slide, please. So this is all about BT. They are target-specific viruses which can infect and destroy a number of important plant pests. They are particularly effective against the Lepidopteris pest of cotton, rice, and vegetables. The large-scale production poses certain difficulties, so their use has been limited to small areas. They are not available commercially in India but are being produced on small scales by various IPM centers. and state agriculture departments. So neem, I have told you that derived from neem tree. This is contains several chemicals including agitatoractin, which affect the reproductive and digestive process of number of important cells. Recent research carried out in India and abroad has led to the development of effective formulation of neem, which are being commercially produced. The neem is non-toxic to birds and mammals and non-carcinogenic. The demand is likely to increase. Next slide. So these are various pesticides. So next slide. So some important plants used for biopesticide in India. If you see this graph, in eastern India, walnut, so the part or extract of the tree which was used for seed, leaves, bark, and roots. So from that they extract cassic acid, alkaloids, and quercetin to produce biopesticides. So like cashew, the shells was used to extract phenolic compounds, which can be used as biopesticides. So these are some important plants used for biopesticide in India. Name of tree, the part, and what is extracted from that part, like China tree, the fruit and seed oil, melasine is extracted, which can be used as an biopesticide. Next, so crop-wise consumption of pesticide in India. So cotton, from the graph you can know that cotton is mostly majority of pesticide. Next, some commercial biopesticide in Indian market. Next slide. So promotion and effective pest management and biopesticide. The Ministry of Agriculture and Department of Biotechnology are responsible for promoting biopesticide. So they do by via central IPM center, which was one in Faridabad. As part of biotechnological demonstration program, biopesticide have been demonstrated on about 55,000 hectares. Next. So what are farmer perspectives using biopesticide? So although biopesticide and biocontrol agents are important components, the conduct of farmer put very little emphasis on these agents. The main reason for this is lack of awareness, lack of skill to produce and to spray it, lack of fit, lack of proper training, and so on. Next. So conclusion is, despite the effort of government and various studies, still Indian farmers are not accepting it. The reason is because it was production is slow, productivity will be lowered down somewhat. So that was resisting them to use of this biofertilizer. The present policy of providing grants and low interest loans to biofertilizer producers should be abolished. This has resulted in setting up a large number of inefficient plants. People are putting plants to just take government subsidies, and they are not judiciously in this business. They are doing this because to take government subsidies. The policy, the storage and the policy of marketing biofertilizer at very low price should also be stopped. These prices are too low to attract adequate investment in modern manufacturing facilities. So I stop it here. We have discussed it a lot. I hope. So thank you very much. If you have any question, please we can discuss. If you have some, if you have any queries.
the attending members are requested to ask questions. In case if you have any queries, you can always unmute yourself and ask your questions directly. If anybody has any queries, you can always unmute and ask, or you can also type in your query in the chat box. Well, I guess, sir, that there are no more queries as of now.
So we can stop the session.
Okay, sir. So on behalf of Ballarpur Institute of Technology and on behalf of the organizing committee of the short-term training program, I thank you very much for conducting a session on this topic and taking out time out of your busy schedule and accepting our invitation. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity.
Yes, sir. Now, all the attending members, you are requested to please fill in the feedback form of the session that you have attended just now. The link to share the feedback form will be shared shortly on the WhatsApp group, and you can submit your feedback from there. In case of any queries, you can always get in touch with the coordinator of the short-term training program, Dr. Archana Nimkar ma'am, or with co-coordinator of the short-term training program, Mr. Neeraj Singh Bais sir. We now declare that today's session is concluded, and we can, tomorrow we will be conducting. Tomorrow the session will start at 11:45 a.m. as all of you are aware. That is our official time to begin. The schedule for tomorrow and day after tomorrow will also be shared on the group, on the WhatsApp group. So thank you very much for your patience. Today we have encountered many this thing. We have encountered many technical difficulties today, because of which we had to, we have to end the program quite before the time, and we're sorry for that. We're sorry for the inconvenience, and extremely sorry for the technical difficulties also. So thank you very much for attending the session, and see you tomorrow at 11:45 a.m. The link to join tomorrow will be shared in the morning tomorrow as usual. In case of any queries, like I said, you can always get in touch with coordinator ma'am or co-coordinator sir. Both of their numbers are shared on the brochure. Thank you so much.